Hello, everyone. Welcome to AG Triathlon. Today I have Scott Woolsey with me for a Meet the Athlete episode. Scott participates in the PC categories in Ironman races and has been quite successful. His latest result was a second place in Oceanside 70.3. Hi, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me here today.
It is such an honor to have you on. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So my name's Scott Woolsey. I am a physically challenged triathlete. I compete mainly in um, distance events. I joke with my friends that um, my 5K pace is about the same as my marathon pace. So I'm going to be more successful the longer I go. And that's kind of why I do the long distance races. 70.3 and 140.6 are the distances I enjoy most. I do jump into local short races, Olympic distance, and occasionally a sprint, but it is definitely not where I excel. Um, I am legally blind. I do perceive some light and motion, but glaucoma took away most of my vision over the past 10 years, and it was just for some reason untreatable. But I'm thrilled and happy and motivated to enjoy life the way that I can and perceive things the way that I do. Focusing more on what I can see, what I can have, what I can enjoy than the things that have fallen to the wayside.
Yeah, absolutely. And you told me that you started triathlon also 10 years ago at the same time that you started going blind. How has triathlon helped you in the whole process, or what has it meant to you?
I think it's provided me with a focus that kind of it's meant that I had kind of a purpose beyond um, being a blind guy. That I could excel at something that I'd started to dabble in right before I went blind. The support network that the triathlon community has provided me through the challenges of going blind and now being blind has been absolutely tremendous. The friends that I've made, the people that I've encountered, my coach, my teams, the friends, my best friends at this point in my life are actually people who have come to know me through this process. So triathlon has really become a huge part of who I am and how I define myself.
Yeah, and you mentioned, right, the people that you met. I have spoken briefly to Jeff Bosch, right, who is helping you in the different types of events. So tell us a bit about the relationship with Jeff.
So Jeff is a great friend. He is probably the kindest individual that you could ever hope to meet. Um, he just has such a huge heart and desire to help others. And I've been fortunate enough to be a part of that with him. He serves as my guide in races. He's not my only guide, but he has been my guide in the 70.3 distance races that I have done since I have been categorized as blind. Um, he was actually a huge part of the process when I was told I could no longer ride my own bicycle, and was going to have to start racing as a physically challenged as a blind athlete, which was the right decision. I sort of had an intervention from my coach McKeely Jones and some other friends, and Jeff, and that was probably it was much harder than being told that I couldn't drive a car anymore a few years back. It meant that I had to give up participating on my own, and Jeff had my back the whole time, as a friend, as a partner, um, and as my guide. So we continue that friendship. He does not guide me in 140.6 races. He's not comfortable at this point in his life with participating at that distance. But he absolutely is there supporting me doing that. He built my bike up. I purchased a custom carbon frame, and Jeff worked with me to put together all the components, and then he built the bike. He's just an amazing guy, and I value him so much, not just as a guide, but as a friend, and having him in my life has just been such a joy, and having him out on the race course, we laugh a lot. We get through challenges together. It is an amazing experience with him.
That sounds amazing, and Jeff definitely sounds like a great guy. So tell us a bit about your day to day. Like, how does training for you go?
So I generally run with someone with me. I'm not tethered when I'm training, generally speaking. The bike I have to do on a trainer, especially where I live. It's just complicated to find someone to ride with you and do the training that you need to do on a tandem. So pretty much I'm training on a trainer on my old time trial bike. And then the swim I can pretty much do on my own. Sometimes a friend will come with me, but I am capable of I kind of grew up swimming when I was younger, so I'm pretty capable of swimming straight, and I know how many strokes it takes to get to the end of a pool. Usually, I have some scars on my heels from switching when I first really went blind, from switching from a short course meters pool and then jumping into a short course yards pool and then jumping into a short course meters, or the other way around. Anyway, the yards pool was just slightly shorter and my stroke count was off, and I did a flip turn and cracked my heels on the concrete, and did that a few times before I figured out how to do that. So yeah, I mean, my training regimen is the same as anyone else's would be. There's nothing particularly unique to training as a blind person, except that I benefit greatly from having someone with me.
You're preparing for Kona, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So how does a typical training week look like for you?
Oh, it's going to look, I think pretty much like it's going to look for anybody else. I leave all my training. I used to sort of obsess about this when I first started triathlon. I got all the books and read all the websites and put together my own training plan and obsessed over all of the numbers. And I hired a coach, and I've gone through a couple of different levels of being coached. Right now, I'm coached by McKeely Jones, who is probably the most accomplished female triathlete in the history of triathlon. She is an amazing athlete, a sweetheart, very tough. So essentially my training is to try to do everything that McKeely tells me to do, and just not think about it too much.
Yeah, awesome. Indeed, McKeely Jones is quite the name. So it sounds like you're in good hands there. So what about the rest of the season? You have Kona coming up. Are you doing any other races beforehand?
Yeah, so I had planned on doing the World Championships with at least one asterisk in St. George. I guess it was 2 weekends ago. It's in my backyard. It was something that I had actually entered before they turned it into a World Championships. Unfortunately, my guide, Jacob Barnes, who's also a good friend, he tore a labrum in college, and he had a hip problem that he'd had surgery on back then. I say back then, he's actually quite a bit younger than me, but he had to have a different surgery to repair that. He did Ironman Coeur d'Alene last year and ended up having to walk off the course because of that injury. So he couldn't do the race in St. George, and it was too short of notice for me to find someone who was able to and willing to guide me. And guiding is a big responsibility, right? The people who guide blind, visually impaired athletes, it is not just a matter of showing up on the day of the race and holding someone's hand. These folks help us through the whole thing, through transition, through getting our bike to the right place, and all of that. Anyway, so I ended up not racing in St. George. Mixed feelings about that. Going forward, yeah, Kona is the goal. I don't think I probably will do any iron distance or maybe a 70.3. Kind of undecided. I think probably what I'll do is just focus on training for Kona and jump into some local races to use them as training races, and to work with Jacob, who's going to be guiding me at Kona, to figure out how our relationship works, what language gets used, because it is really a partnership, and it's a lot about communication. And if something happens and you have to stop the bike, everyone needs to stop pedaling and put the same side foot down, et cetera. So Jacob and I will practice a lot of those skills.
Yeah, and these athletes have to be very fit as well. It's not just willing to participate; they actually have to do an Ironman by themselves as well, right? So
Absolutely, and ideally, McKeely and my friend Amy Dixon, who's on the U.S. Para-Tri team, are always telling me your guide needs to be at least 10% faster than you in all three disciplines. Jeff and I have struggled a little bit on that. He's working really hard on his swim, and he's absolutely improving. But our friends always laugh that I'm towing him around the swim course, which has kind of been true. But he's still there, pulling me left and right and getting me around the buoys properly.
Perfect. Looks like your swimmer background is kicking in the races, huh?
A little bit.
Excellent. What about outside of triathlon? What do you do?
So, like I said, I actually, I guess it was before the interview. I used to be in the food industry in the state of Vermont here in the U.S. I was the president of an organization that primarily helped local food producers and farms connect with restaurants to try to get local food on local tables. And I worked with a lot of cheesemakers, specialty meat producers, other farms, dairy farms, vegetable farms, fruit farms, orchards, etc. I moved to Utah about 5 years ago and retired from the food industry. When I got to Utah, I went into a local run store, and was going to sign up for a race series, 5K, 10K, 15K, and ended up talking to the owner of the store about sort of the woes of business ownership, the kind of thing where you think you're going to hire your first employee and your life's going to get so much easier as a business owner because now you have other people to do things. And then you realize that there's so much that goes into having employees that it actually complicates things as much as it simplifies anything. And anyway, we got to talking, and he sort of invited me if I was interested to come back into the retail space, and so I work part-time at a company called Salt Lake Running Company, and it's a run specialty store. And I also teach at the Honors College at the University of Utah. Just one course I'll be teaching this coming semester. So I keep busy. It's hard to juggle job and training, and especially because transportation, not being able to just jump in my car and drive to do this, that, or the other thing, ends up costing a lot of time during the day.
Yeah, understood. Scott, thanks a lot for coming on the podcast. Wishing you all the best in Kona, and I hope to see you there. You're a real inspiration. I know we had this chat before the interview about how you changed your attitude towards people calling you an inspiration, but I really think that you're doing great things, and your story is such an honor to be able to share. So once again, thanks a lot, and wishing you all the best.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm happy to be an inspiration to anybody who is truly being inspired to be their best selves. If I can help anybody do that in any way, I will accept that term.
Excellent. See you soon, Scott.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.